So John, I like pot. What do you like?
I like top cups. I was trying to avoid that one.
Hey, we're here at Apollo Sprayers in Vista, California. So we're going to be talking about the Apollo 7700 gun and two options. When you buy this, like if you go to Paint Life Supply Co. and you choose to buy, say, Precision 6 or Precision whatever. So you have two gun options. You have cup gun below, and you got a cup on the top, gravity fed, or pot. So is there anything specific you call this? This is called what?
We usually refer that either to as a bottom cup or incorrectly, a lot of people from automotive call it a siphon cup.
Siphon cup.
Typically, those were bottom cups like the old Binks days. Wouldn't have the pressure tube on it. We also have the pressure tube for the turbine, so it's not technically siphon, but they still call it a siphon cup because that was traditionally what a bottom cup was in the old days.
Okay,
right?
And so we got a siphon cup, we got a gravity cup.
Yep.
How do I go about choosing which one that I would use?
Well, that's a good question. So a lot of it really comes down to preference. Really, I wouldn't say a lot, but there's two main things you want to consider. First of all is the preference, right? So first of all, how much paint reservoir do you need, and what feels good to you, right? Does the balance of a top cup or the balance of a bottom cup feel better? Because that's a lot of it, right? When we're holding this gun in our hands for a long time, it needs to be comfortable, whether you're holding a quart or in this case, 600 cc's of material, you want to be able to feel comfortable with that, right? And so that's the first thing you want to look at is what your personal preference is. Now, beyond that, there are some types of paints, especially nowadays where we're doing a lot of these waterborne, Italian, even domestic waterborne products nowadays that are really thick, on really heavy materials. They don't like the bottom gun because even with the pressure, we're fighting gravity to get the material up to the nozzle. And so having a gravity-fed cup for spraying those really thick, heavy materials is really necessary because we not only need gravity to help us, but we need the pressure and gravity to help us. The main reason is with the turbine systems, we don't have the pressure that a lot of conventional compressed air systems and that have. And as a result, they form a siphon in the front of the gun, which actually pulls your paint into the nozzle. Because of the low pressure with the turbine systems, we don't have that siphon ability anymore, and that's why we have to pressurize the cup. I could spray certain very thin materials with a gravity cup and no pressure, but I'd end up with a very tiny, small fan pattern, and I would end up with a very slow flow rate on my material. So in order to keep the flow rate and the fan pattern sizes equivalent to what you would get with other types of spray equipment, you need to have the pressure on here to be able to realistically use it in an everyday environment.
Would you say that the gravity cup has maybe an advantage if you're only had small amounts of really expensive material using a gravity cup versus a siphon cup?
For sure. So with the bottom cup, you're always going to be left with a residue of material that's left over because even with the angled pickup tube, it's not going to pick up all the material in there because once the pickup tube is no longer immersed in the bottom in the paint anymore, there's nothing for it to pull it up. With the gravity, and that's one of the nice things is you can just put a little bit of paint in here just to do a small job and be able to spray it out.
Could you spray upside down with the gravity cup?
Not very well.
Okay.
And so to some extent, we get a good seal on the gasket here, so you can tilt them to a side in many cases. Would I ever want to go upside down? No, because I'm now going to have the material going back into my air tube.
Right.
The only way you could go upside down is if you wanted to introduce a remote or a bag system for the gun, which would be similar to like the 3M PPS. And then you eliminate this contact with the air and the paint together, and then we're able to use that to be able to tilt the gun in any direction we want. But as a traditional cup, both the bottom and the top cups do seal pretty good, so you can tilt them to an angle, but you wouldn't ever want to put it upside down.
I think I've been spraying with a siphon cup for quite a while now. I think I just personally prefer it because I think the gravity cup just gets in the way of my view.
A lot, and it also has a lot to do with the types of things that you're finishing too.
Right.
So if I'm just going to spray a tabletop and I just need to spray all day long like this, then either type of cup will work pretty well. But if I need to get into tight spots, say in the backs of a cabinet or something like that, and I have that, so I always tell somebody to look at the overall footprint of your gun, right? You've got almost half as much paint in this cup as you do in this cup, but you see how much taller the overall height of the gun is. So you can imagine if I was trying to get this into some kitchen cabinets or something, into the back inside the face frame, I'm not going to be able to get this gun in there nearly as easily as I can get this gun in there, just because of the overall size of the gun. So that is a little bit of another consideration too.
And you guys do have, you know, a third option. I mean, for one thing, you can either choose either gravity fed or siphon, but then if you purchase like the Pro LE with remote pot, doesn't that just eliminates?
Then you just eliminate it.
Right.
Yeah, that's the great thing is now you eliminate the cup, so you not only have now a smaller footprint, which even is easier to get into cabinets and things like that, but now you also have a larger quantity of material that so you can spray for longer periods of time without having to stop and refill the cup.
And I think the advantage of a remote pot is you can spray upside down.
You can spray in any direction you want, and you don't have the weight too.
Right.
So you remember when you're filling up a cup, even if it's a smaller cup like this, there's still a lot of weight in here, particularly with the heavy latex and waterborne paints that we're spraying nowadays, and those weigh a lot. So when I can remove that weight and put it back on the machine, and all I'm holding in my hand is a gun and 2 hoses, makes it a lot more comfortable for me and ergonomic for me as well. So I'm not going to get as much pressure on my wrist, and my arm's not going to hurt as much at the end of the day.
So there's some really good information on, you know, helping you decide, you know, what to choose. A gravity, siphon, the other one, the remote pot. When you buy that, you actually get to choose either one of these that goes along with it too. So that gives you 2 options if you're choosing like the Pro Apollo Precision 6 Pro LE with remote pot.
Yep.
There you go.
You got that.
Got it.
So one of the other things I tell people too is, you know, the unique thing about the Apollo atomizer gun is that you don't necessarily have to choose which cup you want, right? You don't have to buy another spray gun because you want to have one cup with the bottom cup on it and one gun with the top cup on it. So now I can buy one gun and I can buy 2 cups and I can put whichever cup on it for the job that I'm doing. So I have the complete versatility with one gun body to be able to use it in any of those 3 different, you know, bottom, top, or out of a pressure pot.
And that's pretty simple because that's like, this is a cap right here. This just unscrews.
Yep.
It'll go down here on the bottom. This is going to go right on the top. Pretty simple.
It's that simple. It takes a couple minutes to swap it, and you can use pretty much any size cup. And we actually have 3 different bottom cup sizes that we make. The cord is the largest, and we make 4 different up top size cups too.
And that's something I didn't know.
Yeah,
I just
so
learned
we have
something.
them all the way down to a little 3-ounce cup that we use for automotive finishing, and then we have them even bigger up to 1,000 cc, which is basically a quart on top of your gun.
Perfect. So there you go. If you have any questions or comments about what cup to choose, about the Atomizer 7700 gun, what we've talked about today, just leave your questions or comments down below. John or I would love to answer your questions. If this has been any help, give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next time right here on Paint Life TV. Out.